I think that is absolutely pathetic because it doesn't protect the innocent people. To me, that helps. I saw him post in South Carolina of a beautiful roof he had just finished. So I made a comment on that post saying, are you ever?
If I were to send you to prison for this, and quite honestly, it should be a prison case, especially with
what you just witnessed. That's the breaking point. You heard Tammy Klatt call the system pathetic, but the real story is much darker than a single outburst. How did a contractor vanish with $44,000 of a couple's life savings while bragging about his new success on social media? This is Micah Floine. To the court, he's a defendant in a theft case, but to Tammy, he represents a 4-year betrayal that nearly destroyed her marriage. Micah claimed he was struggling just to meet his basic needs. Yet Tammy found him on Facebook, showing off beautiful new roofing projects in South Carolina. Why did he block her the second she asked for her money? With a 10-year prison sentence on the line, the judge faces a brutal choice. Does she punish the crime or protect the victim's only chance at being made whole? Subscribe to see the courtroom psychology that uncovers the truth most people miss. Let's see how this unfolded from day one.
We will go on the record in the matter 25 CF 140, State of Wisconsin versus Micah Floine. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Mr. Floine appears in person with counsel Daniel Chapman. We're set today in this matter for a plea and sentencing. Mr. Chapman, please place the agreement on the record.
Your Honor, as a bit of background, Mr. Floine entered into a deferred judgment of conviction for very similar conduct. This is simply a matter of another victim came forward after those matters were resolved. The matter involves another deferred acceptance of a guilty plea agreement and a plea to theft by contractor with agreements that he continue to pay restitution, and we stipulate to the restitution amount.
Now, I am quite familiar with the last go around. Is this an additional monthly payment on top of his other deferred?
His other restitution should be paid off this summer, and these payments will begin on August 18th.
That's excellent.
That's why it's staggered for when it starts when it does.
Okay. Well, that is good to hear with that case. All right. And so we do have a victim here who would like to make a statement. I'm going to have her. Okay, come on up here and have a seat right there at the black desk. You can either state your full name or you can just state initials, whatever you prefer.
My name is Tammy Klatt.
How do you spell Klatt?
Klatt.
Thank you.
And I can say how this affected me. I feel that Burnett County did not protect and serve my rights. They did not care about my rights whatsoever. I entered into this agreement with Micah, I believe in June of 2022. It was reported to the Burnett County Sheriff's Department in the fall of 2023. 2024. It took numerous phone calls to Burnett County Sheriff's Department to find out what was going on. I left messages with the sheriff herself, no return calls. There's one person in the DA's office that I could call and talk to that actually listened to me, empathized with my case. And in between this time, I also did research to see that numerous cases like this had been going through court with the defendant. And it was very frustrating that it took so long to get my case to trial and be heard. In fact, to the point where we're almost at the statute of limitations. And then being told by the DA that I have a choice, that either I can get my money back or criminal charges can be placed. But if I were to go for criminal charges, he probably wouldn't end up in jail, that he would be let out soon. And then definitely no guarantee that he'd have to pay the money back. So, and I understand as your position, you're upholding the law as it's written, and there's nothing you can do about that. I think that is absolutely pathetic because it doesn't protect the innocent people. To me, that helps criminals. I also submitted the money that was spent to get preparations for this building to be built. And that was denied. That could not be submitted to be paid as restitution. So basically what this situation has told me is that somebody can steal $45,000 from somebody and they'll have to pay it back, but not with interest. And it may take 3 or 4 years before they have to start paying it back. And then it's just a monthly payment.
If you want to explain a little bit more, I only know what facts are in the complaint. What were you
Mhm.
trying to build?
A garage, a big pole barn, basically. And he came and put some of the post frames out and then just left. And initially, this caused lots of arguments between my husband and I because I wanted to take him to court right away. He wasn't returning. We sent several messages, phone calls, and nothing. And my husband was more, let's be nice about it, sort of thing, and we'll get more done. And I'm like, no, he walked away. Let's take him to court. But I listened to my husband. And so the frame was there. So finally, my husband said, if you don't come and fix this, I'm going to contact an attorney. And he sent him that text, I believe, in May, and said, if you're not here by July 15th to replace these rotted frames that sat all winter long, that are no longer good, and to start building what you agreed to build. And he showed up on July 12th to remove the frame that had sat through the winter, and then put up another frame and left it. And then when I saw on Facebook Marketplace that he was selling all of his tools, I messaged him. I said, so you're not coming back? And he's like, no, you're next on our list. This was in October of 2024. You're next on our list. We're going to be right there. And then I saw him post in South Carolina of a beautiful roof he had just finished, him and his guys. And so I made a comment on that post saying, are you ever going to pay the people in Wisconsin that you owe money to with this? And I was blocked. No response, no nothing. So that's my frustration.
Thank you, Ms. Clapp.
Mhm.
You want to go have a seat in the back, you may. All right, so Mr. Flodine, you are going to plead to the felony, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I have in front of me, well, it's one count. Greater than 10, but less than $100,000, doesn't matter which count it is that he's pleading to,
No,
2 or 3? He pleading to 2, well, 1, 2, or 3, I guess. Theft by contractor greater than
I
okay.
was gonna say, I think there's just one
Yeah, it's
count.
2 or 3. So we'll go with count 2.
Judge, there's only one count.
Yes,
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was looking at the old case. I pulled up the old deferred to see the difference. All right, so you're
Process of
pleading
pulling
to
that up
the
to
sole
verify.
count. Theft up by a contractor greater than 10, but less than $100,000, a class G, correct, Mr. Flodine?
Yes, Your Honor.
I have in front of me this plea questionnaire waiver of rights form. I also have in front of me the deferred judgment of document or deferred judgment of conviction document. Did your attorney thoroughly go over those with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he essentially read them all to you word for word?
Yes, he did.
Did you sign both of those documents?
I did, Your Honor.
Attached to the plea questionnaire, I do have what the state would have to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, as well as the maximum possible penalty. Did your attorney thoroughly go over that with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you fully understand everything contained in both of these documents?
I do, Your Honor.
You're 38 years old. You have 12 plus years of schooling. You can read, write. You understand the English language. You do not have any drugs, alcohol, or other medications in the last 24 hours and no mental illnesses or disorders.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you're charged with crimes, you are entitled to constitutional rights, and each of those rights is listed on the first page of this plea questionnaire. Did your attorney thoroughly go over those rights with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand them completely?
I do, Your Honor.
Do you need me to go over those rights with you in any more detail?
No, Your Honor.
You understand that by pleading guilty, you're waiving and giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if you're not a citizen of the United States, your plea could result in your deportation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that you are pleading guilty to a felony? As such, if judgment is entered, you will no longer be able to use or possess a firearm for life.
Yes, Your Honor.
No longer able to vote in any election until your civil rights are restored.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand here the state would have to prove that on or around November 24, 2023 in Burnett County, Wisconsin, you did as one, you entered into an agreement for the improvement of land. You received money from the owners JK and TK, and without consent of the owners and contrary to your authority, you intentionally used any of the money for any purpose other than the payment of claims due or to become due $44,173.71 from you for labor and materials used in the improvements before all claims were paid in full, contrary to Wisconsin law. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Essentially, your attorney has it much clearer than the criminal complaint. You entered into an agreement with another person for the improvement of land, here a shed, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You received money from the owner of the land under that agreement, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You intentionally used all or some of the money for a purpose other than the payment of claims due from you for labor or materials used for the improvement, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you did so without the owner's consent, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
And you did so knowingly that you were using the money without consent and contrary to the authority you had under the agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand the maximum possible penalty could be a fine of up to $25,000 or imprisonment of up to 10 years or both.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that I'm not bound to follow any type of agreement? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the terms of the deferred judgment of conviction document if accepted by the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that you would have to pay every month an amount of $920 beginning August 18th, 2026 until total restitution of $44,000 is paid? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that this agreement could be terminated after 48 months if all restitution is paid in full?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that you must pay to the state $150 prior to 60 days expiring?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you go over the criminal complaint with your attorney? In particular, it's that section where it basically says what happened around that time and why you were charged with this crime.
Yes.
For the most part, are those facts accurate?
Yes.
Did you in fact take money as a contractor greater than $10,000 but less than $100,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you had no consent of the owners to do so?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that was not in line with the agreement that you entered into?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chapman, may the court use the probable cause section of the criminal complaint to find a factual basis as well as the statements made by your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone made any threats or any promises to you for you to plead guilty to this charge?
No, Your Honor.
You're doing so freely and intelligently, telling the court you fully understand what you're doing
Yes, Your Honor.
and voluntarily?
Yes.
Has your attorney represented you competently?
He has.
Has he answered all of your questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he looked at this matter thoroughly?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with his services?
I am, Your Honor.
Any questions for the court or for your attorney before I proceed?
No, Your Honor.
As to count one, theft by a contractor greater than $10,000 but less than $100,000 as a class G felony, how do you wish to plead?
Guilty.
The court will find your plea of guilt is done knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. I'm going to find that you understand your constitutional rights and what it means to waive and give up those rights. I'm going to find a factual basis to accept your plea of guilt. Based on that, I will find you guilty of theft by a contractor as a Class G felony. Mr. Schmidt, argument as to whether or not to accept.
Judge, I'd ask you to accept the deferred judgment conviction. Had our office known about this back when this happened, it would have been part of the other one. We know that the deferred judgment conviction in the other case worked, as the victims are about to be made whole on that very soon. In this case, financially, the victims will be off better than if this went to trial and we won and we had to do a restitution hearing. I think the court gathered from the victim here that they have very negative feelings about what happened to them with what happened with Micah Floine. It felt like a betrayal. The crime that Micah Floine committed here is theft by contractor, which, despite how the statute is titled, it is the offense of using any of the amounts that were given in the contract for a purpose other than the contract before all claims were done and due. What that means is it is not a crime to take a job and not finish it, is not a crime to do a bad job, is not a crime to breach a contract. Those are all things that Micah Floine did, and the victims are very harmed by it. In this case, you know from hearing the victim statement, Micah Floine didn't just take the money and disappear. He did do some work. He did buy materials. The $44,173.71 that were paid to him, he did use some of it on the job. He wound up not finishing the job. In this manner, by getting the full refund of the amount initially paid, the victims are being better off with this agreement financially than alternatively. I think that's the most important thing in this case, to make them whole on that. I think that the deferred judgment conviction has unique features in that by having the incentive of having it discharged at the end, a person is likely to pay off that amount. We've seen before, when we send people to prison on large cash restitution cases, the court loses the ability to really be a stick on that. The court can't revoke someone's extended supervision in doing so. This is a better way of doing it. This is of more value to the victim than just having a civil judgment converted from a restitution judgment at the end. And it's a higher amount than it would have been either. For that reason, I think this is appropriate, and I'd ask the court to follow it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chapman.
I also think it's important to say that Mr. Floine didn't just pocket the money and go take a trip to Vegas with it. He got in over his head and was using funds from one job to try to complete another job. And in the process of juggling all that money, he went broke. He didn't have the money to complete the job. He didn't just take it and run. But he has dug himself out of that hole, and he has paid a massive amount of restitution already. And I think the most important argument for why the court should accept this agreement is that the previous agreement he entered into years ago was successful. The victims are going to get their money in this case. He wants to pay it back. And if he didn't delay any of this, it would have been in his legal interest to take care of this back in 2022. So we're really just continuing the agreement from 2022 to take into account the newly discovered amount of restitution. And yes, Mr. Floine is agreeing to pay that entire requested amount without nitpicking about, well, how much money was spent on foundations that was laid. He's just agreeing to repay it. So I agree. I think this is an appropriate resolution, and I would ask you to adopt it, please.
All right, thank you. Mr. Floine, is there anything that you want to say? You want to make any statement here today?
I do have one. If I could use my cell phone to read it, I've written it.
Ken, if you are going to read it, please read it slowly and enunciate your words so that the court reporter can take everything down.
Your Honor, I want to begin by saying I'm truly sorry for my impact my actions had on the residents of this county. This community was my home for 36 years. I grew up here, built my life here, and I truly love this place. It weighs heavily on me knowing that my actions affected a community that meant so much to me. I also want to sincerely thank you and the district attorney for your time and patience and understanding throughout this process. This situation has humbled me, and it's forced me to take an honest look at the decisions and take full responsibility for where I went wrong. I believe the Lord has used this to get my attention and redirect my path, and I made the difficult decision to leave my hometown and step away from everything familiar. so I can focus on becoming a better man. I've been working to live with more integrity, accountability, and purpose. This has come at a personal cost. I've lost friendships, and there were months where I had to choose between basic needs and making restitution. Those experiences changed me and helped me understand the weight of my responsibilities and the consequences of my action. I take full responsibility for what I did. I've learned from this, and I'm committed to making sure it never happens again. Moving forward, I want to use what I've learned to help other contractors avoid making the same mistakes. I intend to work with the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services and Wisconsin legislators in any way that I can to improve the understanding and help prevent situations like mine. If I can help even one person avoid this path, then something good can come from it. I'm committed to continue to grow and do better and make things right moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Floine, I hope all of that is true, and I hope that this is true remorse, because Ms. Klatt is not the first person that I've heard these stories from, as you're aware, and that it impacts them more than just a financial level, because it impacts their emotions, it impacts their life, and it caused, as you can hear from Ms. Klatt, tension in her marriage, and all of those types of things. So it's not just a financial crime. It has had other significant impacts. If I were to send you to prison for this, and quite honestly, it should be a prison case, especially with the other matters. Mr. Schmidt is right. I lose control. I can't then ensure that you're going to continue to make payments and to attempt to make the victim whole. It's not going to make her whole. It's not going to make her and her husband whole, because a lot more damage has been done. And I agree with the statement made that there should be interest attached, because they had to expend $44,000 back in 2022. And had that been in a bank account, they would, even the smallest interest-bearing bank account, they would still have more money than that. And I understand Mr. Chapman's argument of they have the foundation, they have the original, the footprint of where you were going to place this garage. But who knows if that was sound? Who knows if they were able to keep that? Who knows if that was able to be used by the next contractor? I am going to say as well, you're not the first contractor to have been put in this situation, or where you have indicated, or your attorney has indicated, that it was a steal from Peter to pay Paul type of situation. We do have other contracting cases in our small little counties, theft by contractor. It's prevalent.
Yes.
And it's awful. And in the end, where is the justice? Because it's not to the Klatts who haven't gotten their money right away, or they couldn't use that money. They had to find other funds to be able to build that garage that they were hoping to have. It impacts our small communities immensely. As much as there should be punishment, there should also be as close to a guarantee that the money, the $44,000, will be paid back. And with the deferred judgment of conviction, that's the only thing that can guarantee that. I put you on probation, and all it's going to do is continue to have you in my court, and either you're going to be paying or you're not, or I'm going to throw you in jail for 20 days and then you're not going to be working and we're not going to get the payments, and you'll just be on probation for years and years and years and years. Here, this says 60 months, so 5 years that this could run. I'm sure hoping that you're going to pay a lot quicker than that, perhaps how you paid off the other matter in your 22 CF 238 case,
That's the intention, Your Honor.
because I believe the Clatts have waited long enough.
Mhm.
And if the court accepts this agreement, then I accept this agreement. I do recall in the last agreement that I modified the deferred judgment of conviction and said that at the time you were selling your equipment and then you were moving to
South
Carolina,
Carolina, yes.
and then now you're in Nebraska.
Mhm.
But you don't own your own business, correct?
No.
You work for a business.
Mhm.
And at that time, I had modified the agreement to say that if you paid it off within 1 year, that was for a 3-year term, but if you pay it off after 1 year, then it could be terminated early.
Mhm.
That's an incentive to try and get you to pay it back faster. Here, there was 20 or so more thousand that you owed in that case. I want to see that incentive here as well, because I do believe that the Clatts should be paid back in a quicker fashion than 60 months.
Yes, Your Honor.
To me, that's kind of pitiful, actually, since it was from 2022, 4 years ago. So I am going to say that if you get this paid off, you can somehow figure it out, and that's having a strict budget. That's not having a $60,000 or more vehicle to drive in. That's not having, the best phone or all of the things, and maybe not having any streamings and just using the free apps to watch TV or those kinds of things. If you can get it paid off in a year and a half, then this can be terminated. I want that to be your goal, because I'm going to tell you in the end, you're the one that's winning more, because you're not going to have that felony hanging over your head. And then hopefully the Clatts can get their money quicker and they can move on from this. They're not going to move on. I can tell you, they won't move on until that every dollar is paid in full. And then after that, they will be able to start moving on from this. So I will accept the agreement as it is, and it's been modified by Mr. Chapman for the 18th instead of the 1st. And I will write that if you pay off all restitution in a year and a half, it can be terminated. So I will adopt the agreement with those 2 modifications. Anything further?
Not from me.
Mr. Chapman?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The decision's final. Judge Mogan granted a deferred judgment, allowing Micah Floine to stay out of prison as long as he pays back every cent. But here's the question. Was this true justice or just a financial transaction? Comment below, Team Tammy or Team Micah? Should a contractor who blocked his victims on social media be allowed to buy his way out of a felony? Hit like if this case frustrated you. Share this with a friend to see where they stand on the verdict.